whatever months, and then a situation had happened where, like, 3 doors down, someone, like a prostitute and a trade got into, like, this big altercation, and it was just, like, you know, it was, like, guns involved, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. And I was only making enough money to literally just stay there, feed myself, and just continue the life of that. So I found out that North Carolina didn't have a child care assistance wait. Like Georgia had, like, a 2-year wait list so you can get child care assistance. And so we just packed our stuff up, and I drove to North Carolina, and then found a job like a week later at an animal hospital. And then that's when I got, like, on their assistance, where I was able to put her in daycare and pay like $20. And and then I had food.
And now, was that $20 a week?
No, it was like $20 a month.
Oh.
And then I had I had, like, food stamps and whatever, and I was able to stay in that motel. They were. I was staying in that motel.
Yeah.
And then I saved enough money to get a studio apartment. Stayed in that studio apartment for... No, I'm missing an apartment. So when we left from the motel, I went to a studio apartment in the hood. Like, dead center in the hood. So
that's where you could afford. How could I forget
Decatur?
That's what you could afford.
That's
you stayed in Decatur.
Yes. So I got that apartment. You could afford
because you were making how much now?
Like $8.75 an hour.
$8.75 because you were a vet
assistant.
What do you call it? Veterinary assistant? Okay. So at that point, you veterinary assistant that paid for your studio apartment.
Yes.
How was living in Decatur?
It was fine. I mean, this is my people, so it was like it wasn't very. It wasn't like
can't be afraid of our.
No, it wasn't weird. It was just that once the people downstairs they had got arrested, and then they were out of their apartment for like maybe like 2 weeks. Okay. The apartment got robbed and everything like that, and then the next thing I know, you know, the people in the office are cleaning it out. And then after they cleaned it out, it was like an influx out of nowhere. Roaches everywhere. It was like they left the apartment downstairs and came through the walls, through the cabinets, through the faucets, all over the apartment. Like overnight. I was like, what? Like, it was terrifying. And so, like, that's
what did you do?
That's what made the move to North Carolina.
So you were like, I can't stay here. I'm out of here.
I couldn't stay there. I gotta forget Decatur.
Okay. How long did you stay in Decatur?
I was only in North Carolina for a year. And I got into dental school in 2013.
But you stayed in Decatur, Georgia for...
it was only a year lease, but I broke that lease because of the roaches. I broke the lease.
You stayed, about half a year, you think?
Maybe 8 or 9 months.
That's a pretty long time. Okay, so you stayed in Decatur, Georgia.
And then I only broke like a few months of my lease.
So why did you go to North Carolina?
Because I looked them up. They had a 0 child care assistance program. And then I had been dating someone who ended up being my husband. But anyway. So dated someone who he was a tattoo artist.
Essentially, why did you go?
Why I chose North Carolina?
Because
he was I dated him. He was a tattoo artist.
Okay.
He went from a point where he had a home to where he didn't have a home, so he was on the streets doing his own thing.
Okay.
And then he was like, look, you know, things are real bad here for me, you know. Got into some stuff, and he's like, I'm gonna go. My mom is in North Carolina, and she said it's okay if you come. And so I looked into him like free daycare assistance, and so she actually was the one that watched Mariah while, because the daycare, signing up for like the whole child care assistance thing, it takes like a week or something like that, or 2 weeks. And so like while I stayed in the motel because I didn't want to stay at his mom's house. It was a little too much for me. It was way too much for me. And
now,
so,
when you say too much, what exactly was too much?
I don't know her. I did not know her. And the stories that I've heard.
And going from being on your own, because essentially you had from the car,
the stories that I heard,
to a hotel, to studio, and all this time you were on your own.
Yes. And so we were kind of like, he was kind of like, because he had left and he had went before I did. And so it was kind of like a last resort kind of thing. I knew somebody up there.
Right.
And so a lot of times...
How long were you guys dating, essentially, before you went to North Carolina?
Maybe 6 months. Not long.
Okay.
Not long at all. And so...
And then you were like, oh, I'm ready. Okay.
I was like, I didn't have any choices.
Yeah.
I didn't have any options. I didn't really have any options. And so...
I probably did the
I
same
took that
thing,
drive in the middle of the night.
Roaches? No.
I took that drive in the middle of the night, got a hotel room.
Okay.
Motel room. It was a better motel room. It was a nice motel.
Oh.
Yep. I
was
was up there now.
No pimps and hoes. Wait.
No, this was a brand new motel.
What?
And yeah,
so way different than the one in Georgia.
Way different. Night and day. This was like in the country in North Carolina. It was way different.
Okay.
I just didn't know his mama like that. And then the way that...
And you felt more comfortable being there.
Yeah, and then I would have to sleep on the couch with the baby. And like, the baby, like, when she cries, and like, it was a very small... It was way too much. So we'd go over there for dinner. Like, she definitely fed me a lot. And so she would watch Mariah, got close with her. And then saved up money, and we got a studio apartment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were working. What were you doing then?
I was a vet tech, still that, because that's the easiest job to keep.
So you saved up money to get a studio apartment as a vet tech.
As a vet tech, working at a nice animal hospital. They still talk to them.
Do you?
Yes, love them.
Wow.
Some great people up there. Great people at my job.
Okay, so how long were you a vet tech there? Because
I was studying.
That was great.
I was studying for. That's where I was up there, and I decided that I was gonna go to dental school. And so.
Okay, so you decided from there.
Yes.
When you were working as a vet tech.
Yes.
What led you to say I'm just all of a sudden from animals to teeth? I mean, what was the connection there?
I had like extra maybe $25 to buy my daughter some Christmas presents, and I was in Toys R Us, and there's this couple, Caucasian couple, and they had like a basket full of stuff, and her shirt said proud Navy wife or whatever, and then he had on this cap that was like retired whatever Navy. And so I just asked, I was like, wow, you were in the Navy? My dad was in the Navy, because my dad really was in the Navy.
Oh, your dad was in the Navy?
He was in the Navy before I was born. And so I was like...
How long did your dad serve?
Only like maybe 6 years.
Oh, okay.
It was way before I was born. He went straight from school, high school. Yeah. And so I was like, okay. I was like, what'd you do? He was like, I was a dentist. I'm a dentist. And I was like, oh, okay. Ding, ding, wow. I'm like, I want to buy my daughter gifts like that. And so I was like, and then I looked at like, how do you get into dental school? And I just Googled it. And it was like, you gotta have a bachelor's degree, and then you have to have this and that. I'm like, I have all of that. And so I'm like, I'm gonna apply.
Like, what?
Yes, I was like, this is
all I need.
This might be
the
step. And then they said the DAT, dental admissions test, and I was like, well, let me start studying. So I studied for it, took my test, applied for that, and other organizations. And then when it said yes, I was like, okay, well, I applied for a scholarship and got it.
And you got it? Got the scholarship?
And got into school.
That led you to the journey of...
Back to Georgia.
What?
That's where I went to dental school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
In-state tuition.
Like full circle.
In-state tuition is way better.
Back in Georgia.
The only school I ever applied to.
Now, did you end up back in Atlanta or?
No, it's in Augusta.
Oh, okay, okay. Because you had never been there.
No, never been to Augusta.
Okay.
And so I applied. I was at work when the dean of the school called me. And the assistant who like works with the admission stuff, who like, you know, we have really cool friend, like person that just get the door and stuff. And she called me and she was like, "Are you sitting down?" I'm like, "No, I'm at work." And she was like, "Well, I need you to go somewhere where you don't be too loud." And I was like, "What's going on?"
You already knew.
I was like, "What's going on?" And then she was like, "Well, we're super excited to see you next year. And I was like, are you serious? I was so excited. My doc was excited for me. Everybody was excited for me.
Okay.
And,
at the vet clinic.
And so
then at that point you knew you had been accepted into this program.
And I put they already knew. So
Right.
I'm like, my notice is coming, okay, guys?
Yeah. So they already knew because
know.
you were already working towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And you had already been telling them about it.
Right.
Okay.
And my scholarship gave me a lot of money. So I online found this 2-bedroom townhome and did everything, signed the lease and everything. Never even saw it. Never saw it. It was not saw it as far as like with my own eyes. Just looked online. It was brand new, built, and so I was like, can't be bad.
So you got it just from online.
Just from online, I looked at it. I knew nothing about Augusta. I knew no one that was in Augusta.
So you were like, oh, okay, I'll take that.
The price of it was very expensive. And so I looked and I was like, yeah, this is it. So I went ahead, purchased it, and we moved back to Georgia.
Just like that.
Just like that. Well, it took a
Now,
while.
did your boyfriend come at that point?
Yes.
He came with you.
He had
because I know that you were in North Carolina.
We had an
and
apartment
you guys were
together.
dating at that point.
And then we ended up getting an apartment together.
Okay.
And then I didn't have the best ideas of relationships. And I had the best. That's a bad wording. I had a great idea of relationships because my dad and my mom.
That's
but
right.
I didn't make the best choices.
Okay.
And so he actually had to leave North Carolina while we were up there because of his probation. He was not supposed to have left the state of Georgia. And so he had to leave like within 24 hours. His PO was like,
So
I better see you in the morning.
North Carolina.
Yeah, no, he went back to Georgia.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he went back to
and
Georgia.
so he had left. He had been gone.
Oh.
And so it was just me and Mariah. And so, yeah, we just did that. And then and so once I left and went back to Georgia, he was still in a bad situation. And so I invited him to stay. But with that came other obstacles that he had then gotten into at that stage.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Yeah, so he had gotten into some, he had always done like some illegal things, but then he became using illegal substances. And
shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
here you were working on your
I didn't know what
dentistry,
happened. I had no idea. I was
the
like,
path that he was taking.
Yeah, I had never met
totally
someone.
opposite than yours.
I had never met like a actual, like, I've met drug addicts, yes, but I've never been in a relationship with one. So I actually thought it was alcohol that was his problem.
And that wasn't even
the problem.
So what was his
cocaine
choice? Whoa.
And so once
So how did you deal with that? Because you were already in dental school at this point?
well, no, I had moved the summer before
Okay.
dental school, so I was fresh there. I did like online where I babysat kids on Craigslist, like that's how I made extra money from my scholarship money. And so I did that. But then when he came with just like, it was like, crazy. It was like, it was always something. And so he only when he came, it was literally like, let's get married. And I was like, let's do it. And, it was like crazy. And I was like, let's do it. So that's what we did. And then maybe a week later, I told him he had to go. We lasted a whole week once I moved there. Lasted a whole week.
You said, let's get married. Let's do it. And then it lasted for a week.
It lasted for a week.
You didn't get married.
We didn't get married. We totally got married. We totally got married in the McDonald's parking lot. No, I'm sorry. It was a CVS parking lot overlooking McDonald's. We literally went down to the courthouse, filled out all the paperwork, and then they were like, well, here's a list of people that you can call to do it, but we don't do that here anymore. And I was like, oh, y'all don't do courthouse weddings? Okay. And so we called the lady, and she was like, well, I'm in, a town over. She's like, can you meet me here? And I was like, sure. So we met at the CVS, and we're standing in the parking lot, and we're facing each other, and she's like going through her spiel.
And you guys
we got married. We got married.
And then a week later,
it came out. I found out what he was doing.
And you were like,
You gotta go. Because he destroyed my home. And that's where my daughter lives.
Now, how did he destroy your home?
He had a fit. He had a fit.
Where he needed his fix and he couldn't get it.
No, I had washed a pair of pants that had it in them. And so I kind of messed up something, and
okay.
because
so
of that, he reacted to that, and because of that, you know, there were holes in the walls. There was like broken glass everywhere.
Well, that's understandable.
And so
then. Yeah, you got to get.
He left. He wasn't working anyway.
So you were like, get your ass out of my house. You doing this in front of my baby? Oh no.